Welcome to our slash reader of Reddit. And today's story is AITA for moving out when my sister said I was abandoning her after being her father figure her whole life. I, 19M, have a sister, Emma, 16F. To give a little backstory, mine and Emma's dad left when Emma was 4, abandoning our mother for another woman, leaving her a single mother. Growing up, Emma and I were very close, and as we got older, I found myself taking a paternal role with her, helping with her homework, picking her clothes, cooking while our mother worked. It became a routine in our family until my sophomore year in high school. My mother lost her job, which was our main stream of income. This resulted in me having to get a job to help make ends meet. During this time, I was battling mental health issues and hung around the wrong group. I ended meeting my then girlfriend, who was a junior at the time. To make a long story short, the relationship was very toxic and she ended getting pregnant and decided to keep the baby. When my daughter, Olivia, was 2 weeks old, her mother abandoned us, leaving our daughter with me. With this new responsibility, I found my time being pulled from caring for Emma. I did my best to make time to hang out with her, but over the years I noticed her becoming more resentful towards me. At first it was small comments here and there, then she started getting upset when I'd tend to my daughter. Our relationship became strained after that. I graduated from high school back in June and started looking for colleges. I found a community college a few hours away that wasn't too expensive. The campus is a few minutes from my grandparents' house, so they offered to have me stay with them while attending classes, and they'd watch Olivia for me during the day. I was speaking with my mom about it to arrange a time where she was off work and we could move my stuff. When Emma walked into the room and overheard, her reaction became upset when she heard, and she started calling me selfish and unfair. For the next few weeks, she continued this. But whenever I tried to explain, she'd get upset and storm out of the room. A few days ago, we were home alone around 9 p.m. while our mom worked. And Emma and I had gotten into an argument about me moving. It was starting to get heated when my daughter woke up and started calling for me. The last straw was when I went to get her. Emma had said I was an asshole, just like our dad abandoning her when she needed me most, and that she wishes my daughter was never born. Before I could say anything, she stormed into her bedroom and slammed the door. Her words struck me deeply, and for the past few days she's refused to come out of her room. After talking with my mom, we've agreed it'd be best if I moved in with my grandparents earlier. And we've arranged to do it next weekend. I don't know, I'm feeling bad for what happened, and the guilt is eating me up inside. But I feel what I am doing is best for me and my daughter. So, am I the asshole? Next story is AITA for vetoing putting an offer on my wife's dream house. My wife, 34F, and I, 38M, are shopping for our first house. We both put together lists of needs, wants, and deal breakers for our desired home. We both had similar lists in terms of needs and wants. Multiple bedrooms and good schools for when we have kids, fenced-in yard for our dog, no major renovations needed, etc. I only had one real deal breaker. I told her I would refuse to even put an offer in on a house that has an HOA. My parents lived in an HOA when I was a teenager, and I saw the amount of BS they had to go through all the time. There's no way I want to spend a huge amount of money and have to deal with that kind of thing for who knows how many years. The house could check every single box in our need and want list, and I would still refuse to even try and buy it. Well, our search has not been an easy one. We have been priced out of a lot of areas that we were hoping to live in, and the houses that are more within our budget are not exactly what we're looking for. We've toured dozens of houses, had offers rejected, had sellers try to get us into bidding wars. We've argued, disagreed, and fought. It sucked. Last week our realtor sent us a home that was just hitting the market. She was excited because she thought it was exactly what we are looking for. My wife fell in love with the pictures and wanted to set up a tour. But as I was looking at the listing, I saw it has an HOA. I told my wife that I don't even want to go look at it since I don't want to put an offer in. She decided to set up a tour with the realtor without me. She viewed the home without telling me about it, then came home and was all excited to submit an offer. She spent an entire evening trying to convince me that it's her dream house and that we need to submit an offer before it's too late. She said there's no harm in submitting an offer just to see what the sellers say. I told her that she knows an HOA is my number one deal breaker and that I find it pretty upsetting that she would go behind my back and do this on her own and then try and convince me to compromise my stance. She tried to downplay how much of an impact an HOA would have on our lives and told me that a little inconvenience from an HOA won't offset how much we enjoy our home. But she's never lived in an HOA. She hasn't seen firsthand how nuts they can be and how stressful it can be for a homeowner. I reminded her that when we started looking, that we both agreed that this had to be a 2-yes decision, meaning that if one of us vetoed a house for whatever reason, we wouldn't pursue it. And she knows that an HOA is my number one veto reason. She's now super pissed at me for vetoing her dream house. She's telling me we will never find a house that checks so many of her wants and needs, and that I should just let go of the HOA thing and submit an offer. I told her she's letting her frustration with the process cloud her judgment, and she's taking it out on me. Would I be the a-hole if I don't give my late BF's house to his parents? My BF, 30M, RIP, and I, 33M, were together for 15 years. I was his senior in high school, and we stayed together until a few months ago when he passed away due to bone cancer. I live in a traditional country where same-sex marriage is no legal, but is not a big issue socially. His parents kicked him out when he came out as gay at 17. My family took him in, helped him to finish HS, and were supportive the most they could. I work in HR and he worked in IT. Since he started to work, he made good money. He saved enough to purchase a house 10 years ago. He was paying the mortgage all by himself. 4 years ago, he got the diagnosis. He reduced his working hours to take care of his health, and I stepped in to pay the mortgage. It was a hard battle, but cancer took him back in March. After he passed away, his family appeared in the picture, saying how they regretted not being in his son's life and stuff. Time went by, and a month ago they reached out to me asking me when they can expect I could give them the keys of the house. Since same-sex marriage is no legal, they could claim the house as their family. I told them that the house was in my name. I bought it from him a year into the cancer, so it was legally mine and I had been paying the mortgage way before it. They got upset and said I was being unreasonable, that it should be legally theirs, that my BF would have wanted to give them the house, which is in fact true. My BF talked a lot how he would give everything to them if that would fix the relationship between them. Actually, he bought the house as a way to bring them live with him so they would no longer rent. He also tried to make amends with them all this time, unsuccessfully. I told them that I would give them the house for the price I bought it from my BF, and they would have to pay me back these 4 years of mortgage plus take the debt over their name. They said they didn't have the money and that it was so selfish of me to tell them that, knowing what my BF would have wanted. They proposed just to change the debt onto their name and give me no money in return. I declined. They got mad and the discussion got heated to the point they told me they would bring me to court accusing me of scamming my BF to have the house. They can't. They have been calling and texting me nonstop for the past month, telling me I would be an asshole to my BF if I don't give them the house. I know they can't pay me back all the money I put in the house, but I'm conflicted right now. Some friends told me that I should give them the house and move on with my life, but it just doesn't feel right to me. I'm leaning more onto not giving them the house, but I know my BF would jump the bed and give it to them. Right now their words feels empty and as if they just want to take advantage of the situation. I don't need the house, to be honest, but don't want to give them either. We never talked with my BF what should I do with the house after his death, so Wibda if I don't give them the house? ETA. Thank you. Thank you all for your kind words. I cried a lot with most of the comments. Sorry if I can't keep the pace and reply to everyone, just wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. AITA for taking back my dad and stepmother's wedding invite after they refused to drop the topic of parent/kid dances. I'm 26M, getting married, and my fiancé Nella, 25F, and I aren't doing the FOTB walks the bride down the aisle and no father/daughter mother/son dances during the reception. We're walking down the aisle together. We're having a first dance. Once the first dance is done, anyone can dance, and there are no special dances planned outside of our first dance. Nobody else had any complaints about this except for my stepmother. She married my dad when I was 6 and became my primary caregiver when I was 9, after the death of my mom. She expected we'd have a mother/son dance. We talked about it. She told me how long she had wanted this, and that dancing with all her bio children would not make up for me skipping over this milestone moment. I told her this was not a moment Nella or I wanted to have at our wedding. My stepmother asked why an exception couldn't be made. She said Nella and her father don't need to have a father/daughter dance, but we could still have a mother/son dance. I told her it would not be a mother/son dance. If it happened, it would be a stepmother/stepson dance. Her face as I said this was showing how much it hurt her to hear. This was not the first time me using the step has hurt her. She never saw me as her son, not her stepson. But I always saw her as my stepmother and never my mom. She brought it up to me again a couple of times on her own. Then my dad got involved and he told me I could throw my stepmother a bone. He told me it wouldn't hurt to give her one mom thing. That she has always been othered and kept at a distance by me, which is true. I never wanted her to be my mom and was never open to seeing her as my true parent/mom, so I never tried to let her in that way. I told them they needed to drop it, and I would not change what Nella and I had planned just for my stepmother. They mentioned it 3 times after this. Nella and I sat and discussed it, and we decided the next time one or both asked we would take back their invitation. They brought this up again, and I followed through with what Nella and I agreed on, and I told them they were no longer invited to the wedding. I told them they had pushed this boundary. They were demanding I add something to a wedding that is not their own and is not being funded in any way by them. My dad said the money shouldn't matter. He then asked me how my half-siblings would be able to attend without them. I told him they would have to stay at home with the 2 of them if they didn't want someone in the extended family taking them. My stepmother asked me if I'd really prefer for them not to be there over a simple dance for the 2 of us, where she can have one moment of feeling like she gets the recognition as more than just being my stepmother. I told her I would prefer that, and it was their own fault for refusing to stop asking. They told me I was making a big mistake and was turning into someone they didn't like before their very eyes. AITA